Ever since the season started, I've been giving you some buy low candidates to take advantage of while the window is still open. And now it's time to parlay some strong starts into sell highs because we've had enough time. The regression is bound to come. Let's go ahead and start flipping. And my first pick here is it's going to be very obvious, I know, but we've got to get it out of the way with. I have to talk about Trent Grisham, especially after what I just saw. Another 2 home run game, and both of them to dead center field. And believe it or not, I actually can't believe I'm saying this. He is just behind teammate Aaron Judge for the major league lead in homers. Now, of course, that's ridiculous. That sounds silly for any player who isn't a known star, but I don't think everybody really understands exactly how absurd Grisham's season is. And I mean for him specifically. This is Grisham's 7th season in the major leagues. His career high for season in home runs is 17. He's almost there. And don't think, oh, this is some part-time player. He's finally getting a shot. Oh no, he had 3 straight seasons with San Diego where he accumulated well over 500 plate appearances. And the batting average, which right now is just under 300, but has been well over for most of the season, again, his career best is 252. Oh, well, it's because now he's with the Yankees in that offense and the change. No, he was with the Yankees last year and he hit 190. And actually, to me, the most absurd stat of all, his expected slugging right now is 632, which you can imagine is one of the best in the majors. His career mark is 401. The major league average is 405. Now, I could go on and on, but you get the point. This is not going to last. And I think everybody knows that. And the funny thing is, now even after his first couple of weeks where he was hot and then he cooled down, but now he's heating up again. But people understand, right? I don't think most fantasy owners think that Trent Grisham's all of a sudden going to be an MVP or anything. So he's not even owned everywhere, but people will now start picking him back up. And so it's hard to say this is a sell high because not everybody has bought in, but someone, somewhere out there, is willing to take a chance on Trent Grisham. And you know what? Somebody out there is very frustrated with their star outfielder, or at least somebody who they expected to be a starting outfielder in their team, and they're willing to just give them up for production. And look, I will say this, maybe this is Trent Grisham's career year. I mean, honestly, even if he doesn't play the rest of the season, I think this is just his career year. He's already had it, right? And already mid-May. But even besides that, look, he's 28 years old. He's got some thump. He can have a good season the rest of the way, but we know it's only going to go down from here, right? There's nowhere else to go at this point. Do you know what I will try to do if I do have Trent Grisham? And again, if there's somebody in your league who's willing to do it, let's flip him for his teammate, the guy who he's stealing at bats from, but I still believe in, Jason Dominguez. Because when Grisham starts to go down, Dominguez playing time will go up, and Dominguez is clearly the superior talent. Or maybe someone is just ready to rid themselves of a guy like an Adolis Garcia who they're just kind of waiting and kind of disappointed with. I would gladly take Garcia. All right, now you're going to talk about name value. On Byron Buxton, yeah, he at one point thought he might be the best hitter in all of the major leagues, and I'm not exaggerating. He was supposed to be the top fantasy player of all. He's on his way possibly to having MVP season until, guess what? Injury cut it short. And that's the story of his career. Byron Buxton cannot stay on the field for a full season. So I could go through all the stats now. I'll put that graphic up and I'll tell you all the typical things about Byron Buxton. And look, he's having a nice season. There's no denying it, which is why we're going to talk about selling him. The 264 average is good. Not great, but that's still, that's fine. 9 homers and 8 steals, though. He scored 30 runs, which is second in the American League. And so he's helping in pretty much every category. But honestly, the stat I'm most amazed and impressed by, I guess, is the 161 plate appearances. Yeah, and I know that's only 84th among all hitters, but for him, it's like a minor miracle. Buxton's been around 11 seasons in the majors. Only once in 11 years has he even topped 500 plate appearances. That is amazing. And that one season was back in 2017. So my message here is very clear. I am selling Buxton before he gets hurt, and there's no two ways about it. And that's exactly what I was saying about Mike Trout after week 1 of the season. I mean, look, I know you can't predict injury, but sometimes you have a pretty good feeling when it could happen. Just don't take the risk here. If someone actually believes Buxton's going to stay healthy and play at this level all season long, let him have him. I will take a chance on a guy who's underperformed but can also help me in pretty much every category except for batting average. A guy like Brenton Doyle, I still think is a great buy low here. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, you could get Lawrence Butler, who's been a little bit underwhelming. Very similar profile here. It may not happen, but again, a lot of people at this point are just ready to move on from their guys who are underwhelming, and they're ready to look at the guy who has been producing. That's a mistake. We need to look forward, not behind, but you know how it goes. And I'm going to circle back to a couple of pitchers I keep mentioning. In the buy low videos, I say, well, when you're going to try to make an offer and take advantage of a pitcher, and I've talked about guys like Chris Sale a couple weeks ago, Dylan Cease, you throw out the pitcher who has been hot that you know it's going to come back down to earth. So top of that list is still Tyler Mahle of the Rangers. Now, honestly, by now, I thought he would have fallen back down to earth and the numbers would have inflated. They have not. Look, props to him. He has kept it going somehow, some way. This guy does not have a devastating fastball, but his run value in terms of fastballs is one of the best in the majors. Again, I'm not sure this is the best version of Mahle ever, really, that we've seen. And again, this may be his best season. And I'm not going to take anything away from what he's done. And I don't think he's just going to come completely crashing down, right? That he's going to be droppable or anything. But I'm selling high. If I can get somebody who's equivalent or higher value down the road, I'm going to try to do it. And look, there's no way Mahle keeps this going, not just because his ratios are so low, but again, look at the career numbers. Regression always comes. Let's start right now with the fact that despite his very impressive ERA, his best ERA ever is a 3.16. I'm not including his rookie year where he made like 4 starts. His Sierra right now, that's skill independent ERA, which is more of a true indicator of how he should be performing. It's a 4.27. That's a big jump. And again, his career mark for Sierra is 4.12. And that BABIP extremely low, as you could have guessed, at 219. I mean, you know that's going to go up, but also his career BABIP is a 292. That's a lot more reasonable. But honestly, the one thing that jumps out the most is the fact that even with his success, he's somehow doing this while not really striking out many batters at all. 19.6% K rate, that's definitely below league average, and that's low even for him. If he starts to hurt you in terms of ERA and WHIP, and those numbers will go up, and the K rates are already low, and the Rangers aren't winning many games yet, look, he's going to start to become a liability. Not saying I expect he's going to be cut bait soon, but man, I would love to get out from under this sooner than later, and I'm going to aim high. Again, I know you can hit me with the comments like nobody would do that. You would be surprised some of the trades I see happen all the time. And you know what? You can go and in some of these websites, you go to their trade market and they'll show you some actual trades that get made. Look, I'm not saying it'll happen, but try it. Aaron Nola, struggling this year. If someone is willing to give me Nola for Mahle, you know I'm going to do it. You know what? Believe it or not, some people will not buy in yet to Clay Holmes, or they just don't realize Clay Holmes has been that good. I loved Clay Holmes all preseason. Give me him instead of Mahle. And I should also point out that if you start to have to lower yourself to some point where you're not getting a pitcher who's as good, if you're saying, well, no one's going to do that, they're only going to give me a back end rotation arm, then don't make the trade because you're not selling high. Don't trade away a guy like Tyler Mahle, as good as he's been, and get back Michael Wacha or David Peterson in return. I mean, really, what was the point? All right, then I mentioned this way back at the beginning of the season after his first couple of starts. Chris Bassett, you know what? Maybe it's not a sell high anymore after his last couple of starts, but I've got to mention this. I think this is a sell now or sell before it's too late. Because his season-long numbers are still pretty good, right? The ratios look nice. And actually, for him, a 25% K rate, that's actually one of the best he's had in years. And so it's not too bad. Toronto not winning a ton of games either. But look, Bassett is a known commodity. People will trust him for the most part, right? It's not some unproven young pitcher. But besides the obvious regression, which is already starting to happen, there's some very clear outliers on his statistical profile that point to the fact that it's been a little fluky, his early success. Take a look here, and among all his percentile rankings, what sticks out to you the most? Because I saw it right away. How is he somehow inducing an 82nd percentile chase rate when last year it was in the 10th percentile, and every other year of his entire career, it's in the blue, way below league average, and all of a sudden, he's getting guys to chase out of the zone on a regular basis? Yeah, I doubt that sticks. The K numbers will go down, and look, his numbers, again, solid, but not spectacular. He won't kill you with his ratios the rest of the way, but once the strikeout numbers start to go down, again, you're looking at a guy who is really just a very high end streamer, or maybe just, again, back end of the rotation guy that you can set and forget, and he's not really gonna do much either way to help or hurt you. What do I want? Upside. Yeah, I'm going to take the risk. I know everyone's ready to give up on Max Meyer after a couple of bad starts. I would rather have Max Meyer or one of these Tampa pitchers. Ryan Pepio, for example, has been dropped in some leagues. Give me one of those guys instead of Bassett. I know we haven't been too controversial yet. You might say, all right, these are all guys I can't even sell high. I saved the best for last. You're going to absolutely hate this. I'm not even being sarcastic. I know I'm going to get totally flamed in the comments. You will absolutely hate what I'm about to say. If you have Cal Raleigh, that's right, the catcher for the Seattle Mariners, might be time to put him on the trade block. Now, hear me out, all right? Actually listen to what I'm about to say for the next couple of minutes before you start typing your comments. Raleigh has been not just the best catcher, but one of the best players in all of fantasy, period. Yeah, he's actually even got more home runs than Trent Grisham as of right now. Look, seriously though, 13 homers, 27 RBIs, among league leaders in those categories, actually hitting for a decent average, a thing he usually doesn't do and most catchers don't do. This guy has been a revelation, right? So why would you consider trading away basically your best offensive player unless you happen to have the Corbin Carrolls, Fernando Tatis, Aaron Judges? No, I'm not going to tell you that regression is coming because I think this is absolutely legit. We know he could hit for power. I mean, just last year, he hit 34 home runs. The year before that, it was 30. Before that, 27. He has been trending upwards in terms of his homer output. It's totally legit. I mean, this guy crushes the ball. And he's taken a lot of walks to go with the strikeouts. The strikeouts will happen, right? Sluggers will strike out, but his K rate is not exorbitant, and the walk rate is encouraging. He's had a good eye. He's developing into, I mean, what he has been. Honestly, he's a stud. Again, back to my 91st percentile ex-WOBA. I'm not going to try to convince you that Raleigh is going to crash and burn. Now, I will say I don't think he's hitting 50 home runs, which he's on pace for right now. At some point, he will slow down, but still, you can keep him in your lineup, you'll be totally fine. But why not consider this instead? I keep saying about how it seems now there's so many catcher options that are good, if not great. I mean, there really aren't great catcher options aside from, well, let's say Cal Raleigh these days. But what if you need an ace, right? Who doesn't need a strong pitcher? And you can buy low on one of those guys, like a Chris Sale still. What if you need help at outfield and you could get a player like a Jackson Churio, and you think that's crazy? And I say it's not, because I just saw it happen. I bet you could get Wyatt Langford for Cal Raleigh straight up. Look, there are a lot of possibilities here, but the point is, if you have a hole or if you feel like you can get a superior player at a different position, you just go ahead and do that, and you can fill your catcher position with so many options. A guy like Ivan Herrera or Hunter Goodman, who has been a pleasant surprise this season offensively and are still less than half owned in fantasy leagues somehow. These rookies who have shown a lot of flash, Augustin Ramirez, Edgar Caro, or now Moises Ballesteros, who, let's see what he can do. I mean, this guy might wind up being a keeper. And there's also the players who were kind of solid, late round catcher options that you could probably set and forget, but have been injured. Francisco Alvarez and Tyler Stevenson, they haven't got it going yet, but you never know. So the point is here, if you have Raleigh, you have loved it, but you could actually use that to your advantage, get a player that is a stud somewhere else, pick up a solid offensive catcher, and now you've improved your team. Again, the point of all of this isn't must trade, it's sell high. Those are some players I think are just overperforming a little bit. It's time to explore the trade market. Now, on the flip side, if you didn't catch, I talked about some players who are not doing so well and going to give you some advice as far as, do you trade them? Do you cut them? Or should you hold on? So that's Keep Trade Cut, and it's right here.